So what can we do in here? Well, again, this isn't a talk about how to use Power BI. It's Power BI options within for Project Online. So I put a front screen which tells you what I've done to this system, and I keep updating this. So I changed the currency. I also changed some of the time phase data. So when I'm looking for over allocations and my customers are looking for over allocations, so who's really busy, they want to drill down to the day level, not just the week or the month level. So I did that. I put in some other filters, and I created some time phased data. So again, I'm very interested in what are people doing on certain days. So I created some brackets TP right at the bottom here. TP stands for time phase data. So these are new fields, and we can go and see. You can see it's the same look and feel as the Microsoft one, because I don't do too much around changing data. But we've got time phased availability and demand charts, and similarly for the tables here, and you can drill down into all of these and select different resources, etc. So it all works great. All really pleased with that. So that's great. I'm going to close that one down. We don't need that. I mentioned my good friend Paul Mather as a fellow MVP in the UK. He's done a lot of work with this. Microsoft used to have a reporting pack that they downloaded into Excel. Okay, in the early days before Power BI was really available. And Paul took that and modified that in Excel, and then he created the same thing in Power BI. So again, we can just go in and enter the URL, load that up, and this is quite useful for some of the timesheet reports. So Paul's done quite a lot of work around timesheets, so you can take this Power BI report and just go and borrow Paul's timesheet data. I'm going to just ignore the privacy levels and just again go and grab all of that data. So that's for free. Whilst that's loading up, let's just go and have a look at a couple of these. Okay, so these are all available on TechNet. There's Paul, and his is download, and it gives a little bit of information about it. Okay, so they're all there. You can go and use them. Here's Paul's Power BI report. So again, he has a portfolio report. He has an issues report, risks report. It has all of the functionality that you'd expect. It's a great way to get started with reporting effectively for free. And he's got the timesheet data. I don't have any timesheet data in mind, but I have taken these and used them directly for customers, and it saved me a whole host of time, and therefore saved me my customer a host of money as well. Okay, so that's all well and good. And then what's the last thing we had on here? So that's our content packs. Oh, and I said we could access the OData feed directly. So let's just do that, just in case you've never done that before. Let's just create a new Power BI instance. Who here, just whilst we're waiting for this, who here has played with these content packs? Nobody? I know everyone on the back row will have, yeah. Okay, but nobody else? Do you like what you see? Yeah, Facebook status? Hey, get in there. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to directly, if you want to start from scratch, once you've learned a little bit, and look at this stuff. And Power BI is great, nothing's hidden. Okay, it's all there for you to view. You can say, I want to go and get data, and this is similar to Excel as well. We'll go and get an OData feed. And our OData feed is on the slides, but it's our tenant/_API/project data, capital P, capital D. Okay, it matters. So we'll click on there. I'm already authenticated. If I wasn't, it would ask me to authenticate. And it says, hey Ben, I can go to this OData feed and I can find some things to bring down to you, some endpoints. What would you like to bring down? Okay, so here's all the the tables I can bring down. And typically, in a typical standard report where I'm looking at resources and projects and tasks, I'm going to grab assignments. I'm going to grab assignment time phase data set. We would might take issues, okay, and I might take risks later on. Certainly projects and resources and resource time phase data set. Potentially resource demand time phase data set. There's risks in there, and then tasks, task time phase data set, and I want a time set. So I want a time set to do date calculations, things like that, and then we just literally click on load, and that goes and gets all the data and brings it down, and then we can start to create a Power BI report. And once that's done, I'll show you literally how you can just drag and drop some things onto the canvas. When this loads, you'll see in this area called the field well, we'll have access to all of the data, and we can just drag specific names and columns onto our desktop to create the right visualizations. Also, if you have done any customization in terms of enterprise configuration, enterprise custom fields, etc., then all of those come down nicely for us as well. Okay, so let's just see how this goes. A little slowly. Do we have any questions whilst this is running? Please ask a question. Okay, let's keep that running. Okay.
How many users can work with this data without overloading the server?
Well, the server's held in the cloud, so as many as you want, really, in terms of you're bringing that data down. Once it's here, now this is finished, this data is sitting on my laptop, so that's just going to be on my laptop, but everybody else could download.
This is the problem of Microsoft and the cloud.
Yeah, so that's okay. So if we wanted to do something, thank you very much, Jack. I've got some money for you later. Okay. If I wanted to understand how many projects that I've got running in the system, I could just go and grab the project name. This list looks horrendous because I've not filtered it, but I can just go and grab the project name in there. That will go and work out, give me a list of all of my projects. Very difficult to see here, so let's just increase the font a little bit here. Okay, so you can see those projects are the same ones that I had in my tenant, and if we wanted to against every project to see how much work we've got, we could just grab that and throw that in there as well. So each project now has an amount of work, so we can see this one, AA Capital, has 364 hours worth of work. So not the nicest report, but a real easy way to get data out. And I could do that for resources, time phase data, etc. So that's all well and good. Okay, so that's that. That's accessing the OData feed directly. So we quickly had a look at all of those kind of 5 items that are on that screen. We have a problem. Okay, even though the US is a big melting pot of many languages, by default, when Microsoft brought out the content pack, first of all, it only supported English, US English, and then they added on the other 5 languages. So if you have non-US languages, then we bring the data down, and resource departments, well, that's what we're looking for, and this, I believe, is what we bring down in Ukrainian. So first one. And these ones I didn't get to writing down, okay? But I thought about this morning, and I had a look at how Microsoft did it, and I thought, oh, actually, you can create your own localization. You can create your own Ukrainian, Russian, Slovakian, etc., etc. And that's relatively easy to do. So I'll show you how to do that, but also, if you like, Mike, if you want to work with me to create this, then you can as well. So what I'll do is I'll start to put some language support in the content pack that I've got. So if you want to go for Ukrainian, work with me, we'll put it in content pack, etc., or Slovakian, and it's not too much of a trouble to do. So let me show you how you do that. So we get rid of this one. Don't save that. And don't save that. And what I did this morning, literally you can see, this was at 07:11 English time. Okay, so just after I'd had breakfast before I was coming here, I added in Ukrainian support to the Microsoft template. Okay, I might sell it back to them. How much money do you think I'll get?
Zero.
Zero. Not enough, so I won't sell it back to them. I'll publish it instead. So when we open up this template file, it's going to ask me a couple of questions. So my PWA site URL is no longer PWA, it's one called Ukraine. And just to prove this to you, over here it is. So there's my Ukraine PWA instance. That translates, I'll tell you how good at Ukrainian I am. Project ID, yeah? Yeah, great. Project name? Yeah, great. Start date? Yeah. Finish date? I don't know what this issue about language is. It's all dead easy. Okay. This will say project center or something similar, I'm sure. Okay, so I have a Ukrainian instance now. This is the Microsoft Power BI content pack. It's exactly the one I downloaded from the web this morning. I've added this bit on, Ukrainian, so we choose the site language. We can choose, obviously, English, French, at the end, Ukrainian. And we'll load that up. So again, that's going to do the same thing, except it's going to go to the Ukrainian site, download that, and it's going to do the translations where we need to do the translations. Okay, so I will let this one run, and then I'll show you where this is modified. So within Power Query, there's a language behind that. Sorry, within Power BI, there's a language behind that called M. And the M language is part of a function called Power Query. And Power Query is effectively very similar in Excel as it is in Power BI. So if you're able to do this in one of the tools, you can do it in the other tools. And what we need to do is modify the Power Query language. And that's what this slide shows us. So this specifically is the M code here. And what we say is we have an if statement, and above this if statement is if French, if German, if Spanish, Portuguese, etc. And then I just did a quick copy and paste and said, you know, if we're in Ukrainian, because that's the language we chose, then I need to rename a few of these fields back to the ones that the report understands. Okay, so here's our portfolio dashboard. I've got one project on there. Okay, there's my Testo2 project, which equates again to Testo1 project equates to that one. That is Testo1. But the important bit is the query. So if I click on this button and edit the queries, this takes me into something called Power Query, and this is the tool where we can go and change the modifications. So if I have a look at the projects query, it goes up and gets the projects table, and here's my, again, Test1 project in here. So this is useful sometimes just to test or view the data coming in. Somewhere along the way, a description, project name. Okay, there's the project name. So it is the right project. I did want to prove that to you. Okay, 23rd of March 18, Testo1. But in the editor here, this section is where we test for the language. Okay, and down here I've got language Ukrainian, and this was project departments. So I take that and I rename it to project departments. Okay, so that's what we do. So we have to find the areas that need to be renamed, and we have to get the right names. Okay, hence the reason, you know, I need your help to translate this. Okay, well, once that's done, then our Power BI report effectively runs. We can use a standard Power BI report. So again, if you are doing consultancy in different parts of this world, so Russia, Ukraine, Latvia, Estonia, etc., then you can create your own Power BI content pack and just say, give me the language, and away we go. Okay, so is that pretty cool or what? No. Yes, it is. Facebook status. Yeah, okay. So I quite like that, and I thought that worked quite well. Okay, so I will be putting that, once I've got it fully sorted and documented, again, I'll put that on the blog later on. So that's for demo. Literally have run out of time. So from me, thank you very much. Before I go, any questions? Yes, sir.
So I have one question. If we have one project and I'm using only Project Online or legacy project program, does it make sense to use Power BI for reporting? I can use project directly for reporting.
If you just have one project, makes no sense to use Power BI. No, I would say use the reporting tab in Microsoft Project, which has the nice canvas on it. Yeah.
And I have a second question.
You can have two questions.
Power BI can request data from Excel.
Yes, Power BI can request data from Excel.
Excel files can be different, the columns, names, and so on. How Project BI know which column they need to use and so on?
Okay, so the question is,
what is different?
If I import data from Excel, how does it know which columns to use? So if you have a table in Excel, you can say, I'd like to, so go and query the Excel file, and then it'll say, well, you've got 5 tables in here, which one or ones would you like to use? And tables will have headers in there. If you don't have tables, you'll bring in all of the columns, and then within the query editor in Excel, you'll say, actually, I want to remove these columns, yeah, and then you can choose which columns you want in your reports, etc. You can rename them as well. So if you don't like project name, you can just rename it to be name or something like that. And you can take data, and I've done this a lot, you take data from Project Online and Excel and a SharePoint list, bring them all together and create a report out of that. Okay, I am out of time, but I'm going to be sitting at the back until about 12 o'clock. So come and grab me if you've got any questions. Thank you very much.